Let's talk about combating loneliness. Loneliness can be like debilitating, and that's for real there. Now, I'm gonna use myself because I think most people who go through loneliness experience it the same way. It may be caused by different circumstances, but it's the same type of way. Now, for me, and I think it's pretty common, I break it down into two different ways of being and feeling lonely. The first one is mistrust of everybody. That's like a whole mental battle going on there. Don't trust anybody. That could bring on some of the most paralyzing loneliness ever, especially if you're the type of person who like to have people around, who want to be able to socialize and feel comfortable doing it. Mistrust will sabotage that in the most profound way. No, I'm going to use me. Like me, I had a problem mistrusting people. I think it could be moving from one culture to the next that could create it. It could also come about by people that you meet when you first arrive in a new culture and the way they react to you or treat you. And that's just from my perspective. On another hand, you could be living in a place where you were born and raised and still not trust the people around you because of circumstances and situations that happen. Now, that wasn't an easy fix. It wasn't. Because we all know human beings are unpredictable. So even if you start dealing with them and not isolate yourself from them, there's still that sense of anxiety. What is that person doing? What they're going to do to you? What are they thinking to do to you? It's just a constant battle in your head. And the way I dealt with that is, I kind of look at it logically speaking. If I go to the doctor, I have to trust that the doctor is going to do the right thing and make me better. If I go to the grocery store, I have to trust that the people who prepare the food, package the food, I have to trust that they're taking precautions not to get me sick. All right, the bus, I have to trust that the bus driver is going to be careful, cognizant of any dangers there will be, and take precautions to keep me safe. So when you say you don't trust anybody, you're not really not trusting people because you have to go out into society. You have to go out and deal with people. So you have to trust that the people that you come about as you go through life daily, you have to trust that they're not going to do anything to hurt you. And people don't think about it that way because it's just something that you do. You just do it, But it's a measure of trust that you put in those people. Same way with people that you take close to you, because somebody driving a bus and you're hoping that they in good condition mentally and everything to drive the bus, that's a personal thing. That's your life in danger. You understand what I'm saying? So you're trusting. Same so like real personal relationships. How I dealt with this is like, you know what? People are going to be people. You're going to meet people. You're going to, they're going to come, they're going to go. How I look at it is I have to trust them. And if they turn out not to be who I want to be, then I mistrust them. And people say, well, that's easier said than done. No. You see, if you pay attention, you have that natural human instinct to go, something is wrong. You have to follow that instinct. Most people don't, most people, and I think most people look for the good in people. They don't think they do, but they do. That's why they trust people. And then later on they go, my God, I didn't see that coming, because you're not using that natural instinct to weed out, what's a person's intentions. And I've noticed too that even if somebody have absolutely good intentions, if you don't trust the people, you're gonna miss out on somebody that's really, really good for you. You know what I'm saying? So use that instinct, and that's what I do now. I'm gonna trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you. And it's not like I'm sitting around here paying attention. It's just everyday life and everyday circumstances that you could point out where, I can't really trust this person. And you'll understand that there's people that you will be able to trust and people that you know you can't trust. Doesn't mean you don't have to be around them, because like you go to work, there's people at work you can't trust, and then people that you can trust. Or did I say that twice? But people you can and can't trust. And you still have to deal with people you can't trust. It's how you deal with them that's going to be important. You don't have to watch your back all the time. You don't. Because people are going to people. People will be peopling, you know what I'm saying? So that really eased it up for me a lot, you know what I'm saying? And it's worked, it's worked pretty well. Hopefully that will work for somebody else that's listening to this here, Now, the second one, and this is one that most people really don't pay attention to, because there's a measure of labeling that comes with it. If you strive to be a good person and you try to do good deeds, that is the loneliest place to be. I was raised to believe that, you do good to people. You live in a community. They should do good to you. You should do good to them. That's one habit I haven't been able to break my whole life. I don't, you terrorize me. I don't care. I'm still going to be good to you, because that's what I was raised. That's what I was taught. That's what my mom taught me. My mom always said there's good people all over the world. You will see them by the way you treat them. But we live in a society now, and this is worldwide, where being a good person is seen as gullible, as weak, as easily taken advantage of. And believe me, you know what I mean? Because I try hard to be a good person. I think my mother would turn in her grave if I didn't. But that's where the label comes in. The label comes in where people put you in a corner as somebody that's the way they're supposed to be. And if you deviate from that, they're disappointed. Like an example, okay? I'm usually a happy-go-lucky type person. I'm smiling all the time. And I'm always doing good deeds for people, regardless of who they are. Old, young, whatever, And people would definitely take that for granted. They'll try to use you. Not only do they try to use you, I've noticed that if I go to work and I'm in a good mood and I'm being nice to people, the atmosphere is great, But the days are going and I'm quiet and I'm contemplating something, doesn't mean I'm in a bad mood. I'm contemplating something. Everything is quiet. If you're a good person and people expect you to be good and happy all the time, if you go in and if you enter a room where you usually are and you're quiet and you're contemplating something, 99% of the people are going to just leave you alone. They're not going to come up to you and go, what's going on? Are you okay? Because that's what you're supposed to do to them. They're not supposed to come to you and do that. You're supposed to go to them and do that. And I'm using myself as an example, but I see it across the board. If somebody's a good person, nobody seems to care about them. Or maybe it's not that they don't care, it's just that they don't know how to handle when a person who is a good person does something out of the way. And usually a good person is a happy person too, you know what I mean? They exude a certain amount of happiness. So to me, it goes hand in hand. But people just takes for granted. Okay, I'll give you an example. Here's an example. Let's use Robin Williams as an example. Robin Williams was always, you could tell he was a good person. He was always trying to make people happy, he was always cracking jokes. And one night I was sitting with my ex and we were watching him And I don't know if it was Jay Leno or David Letterman or one of those. And he was being himself, he was being the character that people wanted him to be. He was like laughing and talking and, talking about good deeds and, and making people happy and stuff and all of that. And Max me was, I love him. He's always trying to make everybody happy. He's always so happy. And I said, no, look at that man's eyes. Look at his eyes, They're paying attention to the smile on his face and the way he talks and the things he say, but they're not looking at the eyes. If somebody who's always happy or are always doing good comes in a room and look at their eyes and they'll tell you what's going on. My mom always told me the eyes is a window to what somebody's feeling. If they're feeling lonely, it's going to show in the eyes. And and I tell you the reason why I decided to do this video here. Today, I'm alone 99% of the time. My phone never rings, with the exception of a really good friend I have that always, every week he calls, But the people that I'm around every day, because he's not even here, he's in another place altogether, like 8 hours away. The people I'm around, or I used to be around all the time, they never call. They never say, hey, how you doing, I have to initiate, because I'm the one that's supposed to make them feel good. I'm the one that's supposed to do the good deed to say, hey, are you doing okay? But they never repay that action. And everybody say, we do good deeds and not expect anything back. That's a bunch of bull right there. We live in a society, and this is supposed to be a community. We're supposed to look out for each other. The whole thing about do good deeds and don't expect anything in return, that was invented by somebody who is a taker, not a giver. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Because if we live in a society and it's a community, we're supposed to look out for each other, regardless to who we are. As long as we're not hurting other people, as long as we're not doing like really devastating things towards the community, we should be looking out for each other. Most people are good people that's not doing that, so we should look out for each other. But the eyes tells the story. And there again, we don't have that. People don't do the deep connection anymore. It's all surface. Because if you do the deep connection, especially with good people, it's like they're afraid if they do the deep connection with a good person, they'll have to be good back in return. And people have a hard time doing that. They don't have a hard time being good to bad people. No. And from my experience I'm talking to, and believe me, I'm older than I look, that's the case. They're really good to bad people. They figure that there's something wrong with them that they could fix. But if you try to be a good person, there's nothing wrong with you. That's the way it's supposed to be. There's no middle ground. There's black, there's white. You're either bad or you're either good. And I do think each sides have a bit of both in them. But nobody pays attention to that. They just label you and put you in a box and you have to stay in that box. Getting out of being in that loneliness where you try to be a good person, but then when you have issues, there's nobody to talk to. Like I had a bout this morning, and I went through my phone and was like, nope, can't talk to that person. Nope, can't talk to that person. Nope, can't talk to that person. Because there's a sense of when you're talking to somebody, they don't really pay attention. Getting out of that stage of loneliness is going to be a chore, a real chore. I'm getting there, but they say love yourself and then everything else is going to fall into space, into place. But we're human beings, man. We need more than just loving ourselves. Human beings are social beings. And as much as everybody can say, we don't need nobody, we don't need nobody. Yes, you do. We need each other. I hate this whole thing about everybody's like saying they don't need anybody, they don't need anybody. Come on now. I felt a lot better about myself when I realized, hey, yeah, I do need people, you know. I'm not an island unto myself. I can't go through life being by myself constantly, and I do it a lot. Trusting people went a long way to resolving both of them. It does. It really does. And it's not disappointing when somebody you trust become untrustworthy. It is disappointing, but life goes on and people come and people go. And there's nothing you could do about that, you know? Unfortunately, that's something you learn later in life. You know what I mean? And maybe by me talking about it here, you learn that early. I like being alone, don't get me wrong. There's a difference with being alone and being lonely. I can't say that I'm lonely now. I've got too much to do to think about that. But, you know, human interaction is very important. Get that idea that you don't need anybody out of your head. We all live on this earth. This whole individualistic thing is killing community. This selfishness is killing community. We gotta nip that stuff in the bud. You know what I'm saying? But you know, we'll see how this is gonna work out. Environment have a lot to do with it too. It all depends on who you are and where you are. But the point is, we have got to pay more attention to each other. Appreciate good people more. Use our built-in instinct. And last but not least, stop with the surface connections. Get to know people. You'll figure out. You'll figure out who is a detriment to your existence or a benefit to your existence. And most people aren't a detriment to your existence. And if they are, sometimes it's outside entities that are hampering them from being who they are. And that is human, man. There's an old reggae song that said a human is a human. And I live by that. Hope you do too.